What's up, YouTubers? I'm back here with another video, sitting in my little car. Earlier today, I did a 2015 Lexus NX 200T. Front brake pads. Give you a little tutorial. There's a lot of different videos out on YouTube on how to do this, so I'm just going to go step by step. First, get yourself a decent floor jack, 2 jack stands. Jack the car up, get the front wheels off the ground. Make sure you're able to put the window down in the car because you have to push the brake with a push to start on 98% of them, probably closer to 99.5. Anyway, once you get it jacked up, you need a 21 millimeter to take the rims and tires off, or a 13/16 6-point impact socket, either or. So the tools you're going to need to do the front brake pads: a 14 millimeter socket. Most likely you're going to need either an 11/16 or a 17 millimeter open end wrench. Behind that 14 millimeter bolt, there is a 17 millimeter nut that squeezes out with a piece of black rubber. You'll probably have to hold that. The car that I did had the original equipment brakes on it. And you're just going to have to hold that nut while you try to loosen the caliper bolts. Put the 17 millimeter wrench on the inside and then the 14 to loosen them. Get them off. Use a flathead and or a regular screwdriver, if you'd like to call the proper name for it. Pry back a little bit on the caliper on one of the old pads on the inside of the rotor, and you should be able to get the caliper off. Turn it upside down. Once you do that, take the pad that's in the inside of the rotor, flip it upside down, take a C-clamp, screw the C-clamp in where there's going to be 2 pistons on those front front calipers, very so gently. This gentleman, somebody added brake fluid, and as I was squeezing the piston back in, I noticed, thank God I had cardboard in my garage, they overfilled the reservoir. Try not to do that if you own a Lexus or a Toyota SUV, any kind of car. If the fluid is low, it's a sealed system with hydraulic brakes. Low fluid means the pads are low. That's an indicator. The little metal tab should have squealed for this guy because he literally had less than a 1/16 of an inch of brake pad left before they went metal to metal, and he had to replace the rotors. Getting back to, once you squeeze those pistons back in on the brake caliper, you're going to need that flathead screwdriver. There's 4 clips, an inner, an outer, upper, lower. The clips for when you go, say, to AutoZone and you buy the Duralast Gold, they're going to give you the springs that are retention springs that, as you look on the driver's side or the passenger side, they're going to be in a V. The upper one is going to be pointing down. The lower one is going to be pointing up. Once you take that caliper off, those pads should come off a little bit. They're retention clips. They're on 99% of your Toyotas and Lexus. No big deal. Pop all those clips out and replace them. Get yourself some brake clean, some CRC. Put a pan under there. Clean all the dust off where you need to. You should be good. Replace the new clips when you get the new pads. Before you start messing with the pads in the Duralast set, there's going to be clips that go on the inner pad, the outer pad. They're kind of in the shape of like a C. They go on the top. Very carefully, you're going to have to push the new clips down a little bit. The indicator clips, you have to kind of squeeze them down to replace the pads back in. Once that's done, both those indicators should be at the top of your brake caliper, not at the bottom. This guy, whoever did his car, they did them wrong. They should be at the top. There should only be 2. They're going to give you extra ones in the kit from Duralast. The inside pad, the outside pad, the indicators for when the brake pads get too low go on the top, not the bottom. So your spring to hold the pads together, like I said, the upper, it looks like a V, would be pointing this way. Okay, the bottom one is going to be pointing just the opposite this way. Put those back on. There's little holes in the top of the new brake pads. You're good to go. You'll only have to squeeze them in a little bit. Me personally, I use the CRC, the red brake disc pad quieter from AutoZone. I paid $8 for it. I've done like 30 brake jobs. You only need a little drop. Spread it on the pad. Let it dry. Once you replace the pads back on there, you're going to have a little bit of an issue with those new clips to try to put the pads back on. It only takes a little bit of force to get those brake pads back on. Once that's done, where the 17 millimeter nut is on the where the caliper goes back on, it's probably going to be sticking out about an inch. If you squeeze it and push that back in, that caliper will go right back on with no problem. I did this job, not tooting my own horn so fast, I had to be somewhere else, that the job's done. I didn't even have time to video it. I was showing my neighbor because somebody else did a brake job and they screwed it up. And I had to show him the correct way to do it. He's got 30 years younger than me. So I hope this helps you out. You can find other videos for the pictures, even the diagram for the brake pads, the way that they should be set up. Again, like I said, almost any Lexus, even the 4Runner that my sister owns, the newer Toyotas, they're going to have those pads with the indicators at the top of the caliper. That is so important. 3 times I've done jobs on cars now where those indicator clips that clip on the aftermarket pads were on the wrong side. And it wore the brake pads out twice as quick as what they would have because people just didn't do it correctly. I hope this helps you. Like this video. I wish I could have showed you how, how the system was set up. But if you take a picture before you take this stuff apart, unfortunately, this is what happened. I had to help this gentleman out because he took it apart and he didn't know how to put it back together. If you're going to do a job and you're not familiar, please do yourself a favor when you're working on vehicles. Take a picture. We all got 98% of us have cell phones, smartphones where you can take a picture. Take a picture before you take something apart. It will help you out so much better when you have to put it back together. Less aggravation, less curse words, and less money you're going to have to spend. So anyway, have a good weekend. Like this. Later.